the National Works Agency, immediately after Hurricane Melissa and even before, began a... This thing is not moving properly. Okay. So at the beginning, I want to outline the role of the National Works Agency, which is basically to provide access, support, safeguard vital assets, and monitor flood control systems. Before the hurricane, we would have expended about $400 million to prepare for it. But as many of you may realize, you cannot drain clean for a Category 5 hurricane. So we would have also pre-positioned equipment across several parishes, but some of that effort actually did not manifest itself in a positive outcome, particularly in Black River, where a lot of the equipment was essentially marooned when the storm surge cut off a section of the road where the equipment was. But in other areas, the equipment was able to be mobilized quickly. Immediately after the hurricane, we did our quick impact survey and found that 370 roads were essentially impacted, but we were able to clear most of them, about 85% of them, within 5 days. We prioritized routes that dealt with hospitals, airports, and would provide needed supplies to areas that were impacted. We also had a lot of coordination with ourselves and the ODPEM and focused on rapid clearing. Really want to give credit to the Jamaica Defence Force and also the citizens who have helped a lot in clearing some of the roads that we have that were impacted. Currently, last week we had about 61 roads that were blocked. Currently we have about 30, as you can see. The number increased from 370 the last time I presented to now it's 396 roads affected. And the issue with the disaster is that sometimes you clear a road and it becomes blocked again, as was the case in sections of St. James over the last 48 hours, where we did clear a lot of the roads in St. James, such as Adelphi, but because of heavy rains, those roads became blocked again and we had to reopen. We have 123 roads that are 2 lanes and 248 that are single lanes. And as time goes by, you will see the number of block roads being reduced. Importantly though, we can report that only 2 roads in Westmoreland, which is essentially a center of challenge, are blocked, though we have a lot of blocked roads in places like St. Elizabeth. And we will be publishing a list of all the roads that are blocked and cleared. I just want to give you an example of some of the work that the teams have been doing, both citizens and public sector teams. I want to also give a shout out to the Forestry Department, who have assembled a team of sawmen and are heavy in places like Trelawney, where we have some very large trees, some of them at least 78 in width, which normal sawmen were not able to fully deal with. So the sawmen have been an important part of our efforts, as well as local backhoe operators and citizens as well, and we want to really thank the citizens. What you see on your screen is an example of some of the challenges that we have faced in clearing some of the roads, especially in the hilly interior. This breakaway, when you measure it from the top all the way to the asphalt, is higher than the backhoe that is seeking to clear it. A part of the challenge with a lot of this type of landslide is that the soil is also unstable. So we have to be very cautious in how we deploy equipment and personnel into these areas, as we do not want to further cause damage or cause a loss to life. So this is just one example of some of the challenges that we have faced in trying to clear some of these landslides. We also have had to deal with a lot of bamboo, particularly in the Holland bamboo area. Bamboo is one of the more difficult type of vegetation to clear, especially when it is crushed, because it intertwines itself and it requires a lot of sawmen, a lot of cutlass men, and so on. I just want to make an announcement. Due to the curfew that has been imposed, I think we have now gotten an opportunity to do a better job in the Holland Bamboo area. We did a lot of clearing in Holland Bamboo, and we were able to create a corridor for people to move through, but there's still some bamboo sticking out. So we're not able to put heavy equipment there while a large portion of persons were trying to traverse to bring aid to their families and aid convoys were going through. So now that we have a curfew, we will have an opportunity to put some heavy equipment in that area. I want to also point to you some of the types of damage that we have seen, not just in the areas of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, but places like Southern Trelawney. When you go there, this is the type of damage you're seeing, where sometimes 50 to 60% of the road is cut off. This is typical of places like Southern Trelawney, where the hydrology and the geology is different from Northern Trelawney, which is of a different soil type. This is going to require significant investment over a medium to long term in order to build retaining walls to ensure that people are able to traverse these corridors over time. We've also seen the destruction of fordings. This fording is actually in northern Clarendon. It takes you to a place called Trouthall Pass. Now, this fording is essential as it gives access to approximately 300 residents to cross the river. This fording has been destroyed. So we have had several fordings across the island which have been destroyed. So we will have to do repairs on that. We've also seen, due to scoring, roads have been, the asphalt has been washed off the top of the roads. It has exposed water mains, and that requires a collaboration between ourselves and the National Water Commission in order to ensure that we create the facility for them to restore the water, but also do some quick remedial work. As you see here, we are putting some aggregate on the road and clearing some of the overhead damage to ensure persons have the ability to traverse these areas. Some of the key preliminary assessments that we have done, our major highways and key bridges remain largely intact. Our pre-storm drain and gully cleaning reduced flooding in some urban areas, and we were able to rapidly open critical corridors with the coordination from local contractors and our local teams, as well as other entities such as ODPEM and the Jamaica Defence Force. But there are some weaknesses that we have identified. Secondary river roads have been severely eroded or washed out. We need to start looking at, as a part of our building for resilience, adequate slope protection, because a lot of the landslides were caused because we did not have adequate slope protection in hilly interior. And we have to look at our drainage systems as these events, even though you cannot plan for a Category 5, over time we've realized that our drains are not able to accommodate the runoff that comes from certain types of weather events that are becoming more frequent. And we also have a challenge where power and communications infrastructure along roadways were impacted. So we're working with Jamaica Public Service Company to ensure that we can help them to remove some of these power lines and poles that have fallen. In terms of strategies for the future, we're going to have to upgrade our roads and bridges using climate resilient standards and expand drainage and implement slope stabilization projects, and also strengthen our public-private partnerships for rapid response. And we're also going to have to do more rapid real-time monitoring and GIS-based risk mapping of areas that we consider vulnerable. And we're going to also have to employ resilience planning in all our infrastructure projects. The government Cabinet has decided that preliminarily we will be spending $5 billion through the National Works Agency to, one, reopen roads, including some drain cleaning, $1 billion for road repairs, and this is just emergency road repairs, and also $2 billion for repairs to gullies, particularly the Sandy Gully, the North and South Gully and their tributaries, as well as some minor culverts, gullies and fordings across the island. And we have received cabinet permission to spend $5 billion on that. I want to advise, though, that while we are going to be spending $5 billion, the cost preliminarily that we have seen in terms of damage to our road infrastructure is about $35 billion. But we have not yet completed our assessments, so we expect that that figure will increase over time. And that is my update on the work that we've been doing, as well as the preliminary costing of the damage to our infrastructure.